Hi girls, so today is the 1st of February and we were looking at presenting data on Friday and we had started working on line plots. So hopefully at this stage we understand that a line plot, you draw a line and the dots represent the number of times or number of frequencies that it occurs, okay, whatever the thing might be. Okay, so the first question we're talking about matches, so these dots represent the total amount of matches or games that were played. And again, it corresponded with the number of goals from the question. In question 2, when we did a line plot, and we actually had to draw that line plot out, you had 7 dots for walking, 3 dots for bicycle, 8 dots for bus, and so on. Your classwork was questions 3 and 4, and I'm just going to go through how you actually do this, just to ensure you account for everything. So you can kind of see that I've started circling and putting dots beside different items. But what I have done here to the right hand side is something that you will do as well. So I've abbreviated white down to W, and I counted all the whites and I circled them. So there was 1, 2, 3, and I wrote 3 beside W. Then I went to red and I counted all the red ones, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I put 4 beside it. Then I went to blue and I counted all the blues up, and there was 6 of them. Then I counted up all of the green, and there was 3 greens in the question. And then I went to silver and I counted up all the silvers, and there was 5. But you're not finished there. So you might think you've accounted for everything, but you don't really know. So I know there's 3 down. So there's 3 items going down, and there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7 going across. So inside here there's 21 different items or colours. And just to make sure we've accounted for everything, if I add these up, I should get 21 as well. If I don't get 21, it means that I've missed something. And it's just, you'll have to go back over and see what you've missed. So I'm adding up the 3 white and the 4 red, 3 white and the 4 red and the 6 blue and the 3 green and the 5 silver. And I get 21. So I know that I've used and accounted for all of the numbers. All of the different colours. With that in mind, we're now going to start a line plot, and you always need to consider the biggest one. So in order to do the line plot, you need at least 6 dots down from where your question is starting. So I'm just going to move my book to one side. I'm going to put my copy into the focus. So as I was saying to you, this is question 3. And I said you need to do at least 6 boxes down before you draw your line. So maybe do 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So around here, you're going to draw your line. A line plot needs a line. And there were 5 different things going on. So equal spacing, as I was explaining earlier on. So white. Then I'm going over a little bit and I'm doing red. Then I'm going over a little bit and I'm doing, I'm doing blue. Then I'm doing green. And finally, I'm doing silver. And as you can see, they're all equally spaced apart. And now that I know all of this, I can do 3 white. I can do 4 red. I can do 6 blue. And as you can see, I've ample space up on top, because if you keep it too close, you won't know where to actually draw that line. There's 3 green. And then there is 5 silver. Okay, and that's your line plot done. Okay, so all you had to do is represent this data on a line plot, and we've that completed. Question 4. In question 4, again, you have to represent all of the information on the table in a line plot. The biggest frequency is 7. So again, you need to make sure you have at least 7 boxes down from where you're starting. So we might do 8 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And we can start my line around here somewhere, just to make sure I have enough space. And there are 7 different types of messages, number of messages. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I'm going to extend that line a little bit. If I started the line a little bit sooner, I would have been fine. And finally 7. Okay, so these are the number of messages. And apologies, up here I should have said colours of cars. Okay, just make sure you label your diagram. Okay, so that was it. So for one message, it came up twice. So 2 people sent one message. 4 people sent 4 messages. Sorry, 4 people sent 2 messages. 4 people sent 3 messages. 7 people sent 4 messages. And that's what I was saying, just to make sure you have enough space. 5 people sent 5 messages. 4 people sent 6 messages. And 2 people sent 7 messages. Okay, so that's the line plot fully complete. And it was part 1 of question 4, represent the information on a diagram or on a line plot. Part 2, how many students were in the group? Well, to calculate that, I just need to add up all of the people. So I'm adding 2 and 4 and 4 and 7, I think it was, wasn't it? And 5 and 4 and 2. So the 2 and 4 and 4 and 7 and 5 and 4 and 2. When I add up all of those, that's the total number of people in class, which is 28. Part 3. How many students received 5 text messages or more? So these are the people who received 5 messages. More would be to 6 or 7. So I'm adding up all of these people. So 5 people plus the 4 people plus the 2 people, that's a total of 11. Or students, 11 students, apologies. I'll put students in beside there as well. But there's 28 in the class, 11 of them got 5 or more messages. And the final one is, what percentage of the group received 4 text messages? So look at 4, 7 people. You put the number over the total to make a percentage and you multiply it by 100 over 1. That's the calculation. So the number for 4 messages was 7 people. Out of the total in the class, there's just 28 people. And you can see that's a quarter, really. Okay, a quarter of the class. But make it a percentage anyways, and a quarter of 100 is 25%. But you can do this on your calculator as well. You don't need to know it off by heart. You could have put 7 over 28, multiply by 100 over 1, and you get your 25, and that's 25%. Okay, so a little bit of revision on percentages there. But that's line plots finished. We're now going to move on to a thing called bar charts. And you would have actually seen this in primary school, I believe. So this shouldn't be anything too new to you. And it's a lovely way, it's a lovely way of representing information. Okay, it's nice and visual, and you can use colour and that kind of thing. So highlighter in hand for a moment. So bar charts are a simple but effective way of displaying data. So a bar chart consists of a series of bars the same width drawn either vertically or horizontally. I'm going to explain that. So this is it drawn vertically. You could have a bar chart that comes out to the side. That means it's horizontal. Okay, but you can see they're equally spaced apart, and each of the bars are equally spaced also. There's gaps in between. Frequency means the number of times it comes up, and the categories might be talking about the object that's involved. So the bars are generally, but not always, separated by narrow gaps of equal width. So you keep a gap in between them and make sure they're equally spaced, and make sure the bars themselves are equally spaced. Both axes must be clearly labelled. So you would have seen when we were doing the line plots there a moment ago, we only really had one axis, so we labelled that. So in this, we have to label both sides. Okay, that's all that's saying. The bar chart below shows how 60 first year students generally travel to school. And we saw this kind of at the line plots. So by bus, 14 people travelled by bus. You read it again. 12 people travelled by car. 8 people travelled by train. 16 walked. And 10 people got the bicycle or cycled to school. It can be seen from the bar chart that 14 travelled by bus, 12 travelled by car, 8 travelled by train, 16 walked, and 10 cycle. Notice that the number of students who travel by a different method are shown on the vertical line. So this is the number of students. So the frequency or number of students, frequency is a new word. The frequency is the number that it occurs. Okay, and the most common one is obviously walking to school, while the least common is getting the train to school. Okay, I am going to do example 1 and then I'm going to outline work for you. So I'll pretend like none of that is done and I'm just reading the question up here. So the table below gives the make of 120 cars in a car park. The makes are Ford, Volkswagen, Toyota, Fiat, Nissan, Opel, and there's others. Okay, there's loads of others, different makes and models. The number of cars, there was 32 Fords, 16 Volkswagens, 24 Toyotas, 8 Fiats, 12 Nissans, 20 Opels, and 8 others. You have to draw a vertical bar chart, so something like that, a vertical one, and represent this information. And then you have to get the percentage of Nissan cars to the total amount of cars. When you get a percentage, you put the number over the total and multiply by 100 over 1. So I'm just ignoring the actual answer that's given, and I'm going to show you how to do it from scratch. Okay. And you take down this example as well. So this is example 1 on page 355. And we've makes and models of cars. The makes will go on the horizontal axis. The number will go on the vertical axis. And the biggest number we have is 32. So it would be an awful shame or an awful waste of space if I went every one, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all the way down to 30. That'll be the whole copy. So like that's an awful waste of space. So we could go up in 2s. We could go up in 4s. And the way I would kind of figure that out is I'd look at the rest of the numbers. So now 2 goes into everything. 4 goes into everything. 8 doesn't go into everything. 8 doesn't go into 20 evenly, and it doesn't go into 12 evenly. So I wouldn't go with 8. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up in increments. That means in steps of, I'm going to go up in steps of 4. So 4, 8, 12, and so on. And it will condense my graph an awful amount that it won't be taking up so much space on my page, but yet it will be big enough to show the information clearly. Okay. Now, generally when you do graphs, you should really use a pencil. And my pencil's gone missing, but I have it now. Okay. So you should use a pencil when you're drawing graphs. And what I need is at least good vertical line. And what I would do to make sure I have enough space is I'd start at the top. I'll go 32. And then I'm going to go down my usual kind of 2 or 3 spaces. After 32, down 4 places is 28, down 4 places is 24, down 4 places is 20, down 4 places is 16, down 4 places is 8, down 4 places is 4, and down 4 places is 0. And that's where I draw my horizontal line. So it just makes sure that you're not wasting space in your page. If you start at the highest and work your way down, you know exactly where the horizontal line goes and you're not wasting space in your page. I could have gone up in increments of 3. Well, like I've gone 4s, but like see the boxes in between, see the way they're equally spaced. I could have done 3 or 4 or 5, but obviously the more space, the more boxes I use, the bigger the space it will be. And I didn't want it to be too big because basically you can see on my page, I don't have that much that you can see on my diagram, whereas this way you can see everything. So you always leave a little bit of a gap and then you would start your bar charts. So you can do equal spacing all the way along if you want. So you can go 2 boxes of space and then 2 boxes for the actual thing. 2 boxes space, 2 boxes the actual thing. Or you could do 1 box as a space, 2 boxes as the actual thing. So make sure you have equal spacing for every different one. There are 7 different ones. So I might go an empty space and then 2 boxes. The 2 boxes is for Ford. Then I'm going to skip a box and go 2 boxes again, and that will be for Volkswagen. Then I'm going to skip a box and go 2 boxes again, and that will be for Toyota. Then I'm going to skip a space and go 2 boxes again, and that is for Fiat. Then I'm going to skip a box, go 2 boxes again, and that is for Nissan. Then I'm going to skip a box and go 2 boxes again, and that is for Opel. Then I'm going to skip a box and go 2 boxes again, and that is for others. Now, had I gone 2 boxes for everything, I wouldn't have had enough space on my page, which is why I did 1 and then 2 and then 1 and then 2 and then 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. You can see the gaps are equally spaced. They have the same amount, and the actual items have the same amount of places too. Okay, that's really important. Now, I know that Ford is 32 tall. So just draw a dot at 32 and you're doing the bar for 32. Okay, so that's 32 tall. And what you'd normally do then is you get a colouring pencil or that kind of thing. Now, colouring pencil is better than marker, and you colour that in lightly. I don't have colouring pencil, so I'm using my actual pencil. The next one is Volkswagen, and Volkswagen is 16. So go up as high as 16. Draw your vertical line. Do the same on the opposite side. And do the top. Okay, and again, you can colour that in a different colour if you like. Just, you can make it pretty if you like. The next one is Toyota, and Toyota is 24. 24 is here. And see the way I'm checking if it's in line with the 24, and it is. And then you can colour that one in. Okay, and next one then it's Fiat, which is 8. So drawing the line up as far as 8 on both sides. Double check you've the correct height. Colour it in. Okay, next one is Nissan, which is 12. Now, you're probably wondering, oh God, where does 12 go? Or did I miss one? Did I miss one? Oh my God, I did. So I'm going to have to go back and do that because I did a gap of 8 there. Lads, how did I miss that? And this is why it's good to go down. So I can just change these quickly. So 12, 8, this one will be 4. And then obviously I need to go down another 2 for 0. Apologies. That means these guys just need to be a little bit longer in length. Again, the benefit of doing them the opposite way around. Apologies, that was my fault now. I'll change these down a little bit lower. So my XY line, or my ground line, is a little bit lower down. Sorry, I can't believe I missed that. So Ford, Volkswagen, Toyota. The only one that's actually wrong at the minute is the Fiat. Fiat is too tall. So I have it at 12 at the minute. I just need to bring it down as far as 8. And then colour that in. And now continue on. So I have my Nissan anyways. Apologies about that. Opel and others. So what are we doing? Nissan is 12. Opel is 20. And finally, others is 8. Okay, so the bar chart is almost complete. I'm missing labeling the diagram. And as you can see, I made a little bit of a mess of the going down in numbers. I was skipping 8s like nobody's business. So just, this is the make of car. So write it on it. And on the left hand side is the number of cars. And you'll get those 2 titles from the actual question from the table. So you just take it from here. Make of cars, number of cars. So the make of cars goes on the bottom, the number of cars goes on the side. Part 2 of the question, and I'm just going to change the pen, was asking you to get the percentage of cars that are Nissan. Well, there are 12 cars that are Nissan. I'll just put out the number over the total multiply by 100 over 1. That's the actual calculation that you're doing. So the number of Nissan is 12 out of the 120 cars that are in the car park, and then multiply it by 100 over 1. When you do this all in your calculator, okay, you're getting 10%, and that's it. Okay, and that's how you do bar charts. So ignore my little mistake there, but always start with the highest graduation and then go down in steps, equal steps all the way down along. And again, if you did make a mistake, kind of like I did there, it's quite easy to correct it, in the sense that it was only one thing that I actually made the mistake on. If you get me, all the other ones were the correct heights. Okay, and we're just bringing down the baseline for that. So in class now, you can do page 355, and you're going to do questions 1. On page 356, you're going to do question 2. And we're going to leave it there. So we corrected the homework, which was questions 3 and 4. We did an example, which you should have taken down your copy, and then just ignore my little mistake there. And then I did the second part of the example, and now you're going to do 2 questions for me. You're going to do questions 1 on page 355 and question 2 on page 356, and I'll see you live in class now.